I declare the committee of the whole meeting for open to order. The first order of business will be disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. You can declare now or at any time during the meeting. Our first item on the agenda will be the swearing in of Brian Stimson as our replacement councillor, and I will call upon Sue to swear him in.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. In front of Brian Stimson, he's got a declaration of office. If he'd like to read it, please.
I, Brian Stimson, having been elected or appointed to this office of councillor in the municipality of Atikokan, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct, indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Congratulations, Councillor Stimson. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Congratulations again, Brian, and you're reminded that for the next 6 months you can't speak at a council's meeting.
I'm out of here.
Next item on the agenda will be the retirement recognition of Lois Fenton, the museum curator, and I would like to pass that on to our mayor for the presentation, please.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I'm going to call Lois up to the front, please. We figured this out, so you'll be able to hear what we're saying. This is a bittersweet moment. We are losing Lois to retirement. She's done a great job at the museum. She's been 10 years. I said lots of things at your retirement party, but I want to echo a little bit of that. Is the work that you've done at our museum is first rate, and it has brought our museum up to the standard that a lot of small towns wish they had. So with that being said, I'd like to wish you a happy retirement. And again, it's a bittersweet moment because you've done such a great job for us, but we're happy to see you being able to enjoy your retirement. So we have a plaque presented to Lois Fenton for your 10 years of dedicated service provided to the town of Atikokan. Good luck in your retirement and future endeavors. Thank you, and on behalf of myself and all of council. So thank you, Lois. Would you like to say a few words?
I would. I've enjoyed learning the history of Atikokan and getting to know the people of Atikokan. I have to say that retirement is a lot easier knowing that I have Patty Nagel taking over, and I know that the museum is in good hands.
Thank you, Lois. And there's a token of our appreciation, so thank you.
Enjoy your retirement, Lois. Some of us don't like retirement, but I hope you enjoy yours. Next order of business, appoint acting mayor. I will call upon our clerk.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. This is just a report to council. Just since Councillor Zacharias has left us, we have to appoint in her place Councillor Stimson. So the bylaw to appoint acting mayor will come to the council meeting afterwards. If anyone has any questions, just let me know.
None being asked, we'll move on to appoint signing officers. And again,
So it's the same thing. Since Councillor Zacharias has left, we have to appoint Councillor Stimson as a signing officer for the municipality. So that bylaw will come to council at the next meeting here.
Clerk Bates, I'd just like to clarify that if people don't see the note to council, and Councillor Stimson is the acting mayor and has signing authority for January and February of the next 2 years. It is taking Councillor Zacharias' turn as acting mayor for those 2 months. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Moving on, amend Schedule A of fees bylaw number 16-12. Again.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. This is just a memo to council. We need to amend the fees bylaw to add for the marriage services. So council had approved it back in July of the fees that we were going to charge for our services. So just listed below here is what we will charge. That bylaw will come to the meeting afterwards. If anyone has any questions, just let me know.
Hearing none. Moving on to Public Works and the Pine Crescent Storm Sewer Tender, and I'll turn that over to Tyler.
Yeah, thank you. So, got the report here. Obviously a bit later than we want to get them out, but we closed it Friday and thought it was important to have this discussion. I think the gist of it is in the report. Obviously, we came in a fair bit higher than what our estimates and sort of price projections were on this. So just kind of looking for some feedback, what our opportunities are. Brandy and I have had a few conversations about how we fund the project. I can get into that more now or wait for you guys to ask any questions you have or whatever you're looking for here.
Are we gonna have a resolution to accept the tender or not at this meeting, or next meeting?
I think we were planning to bring one to the next meeting, like in the 23rd.
Okay.
But ideally, we would get sort of the direction to move forward, right? It's kind of what we're hoping to get, at least, so we can kind of get them to start getting all their pipes and manholes and things ordered. So just thought we'd at least bring it up for discussion.
Yes, Councillor Shine.
Thank you.
Johnson.
I know, but I was trying to think of what the proper Chair Johnson. Tyler, can you explain to me how it went from 350,000 to this amount? It seems like it's such a smaller project.
Yeah, so basically it went from what they thought would be 300,000 to what we came in at here, 674. Inflation's part of it. Part of it is depending on which contractor is doing it and what they have in town, right? You bear more costs for mobilization. Whereas initially when we were looking at doing it with PDR, of course, they had their equipment right there, so it would have been less cost absorbed into actually getting things onto site. So,
with P&I working in town now, I would have thought it would have been a little bit less.
Yeah, whatever calculations they did, that's what they came up with. I can't really comment on that. Obviously, they came in very close to our number 2 contractor, so doesn't seem like they were unreasonable in their bid.
And where are the funds coming to pay for this? Like a little bit.
Yeah, great question. So that's, like I was saying, Brandy and I have been beating this up a bit. So basically it's gonna have to come from other lines of the Public Works budget, right? We can't just make 350,000 appear as much as we'd like to. So on a high level, we're looking at taking the CCTV money, because basically it's only the projects that we haven't really got a contractor lined up for yet. So we've got 100,000 from CCTV. We have 150 from paving, which I'll get into a little bit more in a second. And then our bridges came in roughly 100,000 under budget, so that actually puts us generally in the amount of dollars that we need to fund this project. The only problem with that is the unknowns of where we're gonna settle with the Mercury Culvert project, and then also exactly what we wind up with for P&I at the end, right? Because they're not doing as much pipe work as we originally planned, but we've been doing more, sorry, they're not doing as much water main work as we originally planned this year, but we've done more storm and sanitary sewer, like we discussed, right? So some of those projects and costs aren't all funded as well, so there's a fair bit of unknown where I think Brandy would probably like to keep this money generally as more of a buffer on those projects versus putting it into, again, this other project, but yeah, I don't know, that is the reality of the situation, right? So with paving in particular, we put out what we thought would be maybe 170,000 based off last year's prices, but we were hoping that we would get a reduction on some of our bigger patches and come in at that 150 ballpark that we were looking for. Unfortunately, you had almost a 20% increase on our unit rate for patching this year. So we're up to now, I think it was $165 dollars per square meter was the low bid. So talking for this big of a square, $165, right? It's gone up excruciatingly fast. So my thoughts on that would be we postpone patching this year. We put that money into the storm sewer or to cover our potential overages on the other projects. And then we look at trying to hit a more robust patching program last year, keeping in mind that obviously we're going to be paving O'Brien, some of those other streets involved with ISIP as well. So we should be getting a much more preferential unit rate on our patching that year.
Yes, Councillor Stimson.
Yeah, Tyler, on that recommendation, I'm kind of missing something here. I don't understand. It says, enter into an agreement at a later date once the contracts have been completed. Once you award a tender, I always thought contracts were all done. Like,
Yeah, it's basically you just have to put the people's names in and finalize the
oh, okay,
it's like,
all right.
Yeah, it's not like the tender is the document, and then basically we just have to go and assume that or not assume, but award that tender to that contractor, and when they agree, then you just go in and you basically put their name in,
Okay.
beside the X sort of thing, right?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Tyler, if the contract for Pine is awarded, is the completion date still shooting for October 30th?
Yeah, it was either end of October or mid-November. It was sometime basically before the freeze up with the option to pave in the spring. Okay. Basically, you can do all the pipe work this year as long as it's done, and you can come back and pave next year because we don't want to be paving in November anyways, right? So.
Councillor Martin?
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Tyler, was this part of the PDR? Was this in the contract for the culvert for PDR? Or was this totally separate?
No, it was in the contract. That's in, I think, like the first sentence of my report.
Oh, yeah, sorry, okay. So, and that was, and so they were gonna do it for that estimate amount?
They were a bit over that. Through the tender process for that project, we were talking to other contractors who had bid, and they said they could actually come in, a bit lower on that portion. At the time, it didn't really matter because we were thinking PDR was going to do it, but then just with the variety of issues with that project, we felt it best not to.
Oh, okay. So you took it out of that contract, and
yeah. Now
we're gonna basically pay double. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're actually not paying double. Just for note, I think under that contract, it was actually about $450,000. So we're coming in slightly ahead, but again, mostly attributed to the MOB and DMOB of bringing somebody else in.
Thank you.
Councillor Shine?
Thank you. Tyler, will this alleviate the issues from the citizen on that street?
Yes.
And that will be sufficient for her insurance company? Should be?
I can't comment on insurance.
Yes, Mayor Ferguson.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I think it's good to note too that the new contract is for the remediation of the homeowner that has been put out for the last few years as well. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very important to alleviate that issue. That homeowner's been very patient with us. They've experienced some issues with their driveway and their fence, and part of that is going to be in the contract to remediate that and repair and put it back to where it was before this issue created. So I think that's a win for us that we, that's some extra cost that is gonna be in here as well, that would have had to been done. So I think we should move on this because, like I say, the homeowner's been very patient, and we need to get this put to bed, and then we can move on. So unfortunately, it did go up, but we are taking the lowest bid, as we usually do, and I think I'm in favor of moving forward on this.
Totally agree with the words.
Thank you,
Councillor Stimson?
Chair Johnson. After Councillor Martin's question there, I was kind of mixed up a little bit. So PDR was supposed to do that culvert, correct? Not that pipe coming down from.
Storm sewer.
Okay, and that was all in their original bid?
Yeah.
And so they must have, did they come in under contract, under bid, so that you could take that money away from them? Or how did you get the money back for the part that they didn't do?
That's just a change order process.
Oh, yeah? Okay, you didn't have to fight for it to get it back? No?
Oh, but we've had to fight for a lot of things on that job.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
That's what we're here for, so.
Yeah, okay, good, because I just kind of wondered when Councillor Martin said, so we're paying twice, I thought, gee, maybe we are, you know, like, but,
And that's why I wanted to be quick to correct that it wasn't
okay,
actually twice.
thank you.
Yes, Jason.
Thank you. Tyler, I think it's important to note, or maybe to talk about the scope of the work changing as well. There might be a misunderstanding that if PDR were to continue, there could have been change orders, or, there could have been, it wouldn't mean that the project necessarily would have cost that much. And I think that there's been some changes of the scope of the work in regards to the retendering of it.
Yeah, there was, just generally in the sense of we know more about the pipe. There was a funny thing, where I guess nobody knew that the concrete was reinforced. According to them when they bid, was kind of the story I got. So that turned into a whole nother problem where we were looking down the barrel of another change order on the project. So we basically just made the decision to retender it and go from there. And then there's some extra restoration work included as well now too. That would have been an additional change order to what PDR was initially bidding on as well. So
Thank you.
we would have been looking at, at least 2 more change orders on that job just to finish this project in with it. And then at that point, we probably would have been right at this cost anyways.
Are there any other Councillor Martin?
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Further to Mayor Ferguson's comments with the citizen, maybe we could pave her driveway for her when it's all said and done. And she's put up with a lot of heartaches over the last couple of years, and maybe we could do something for her in that regard. But I'll leave that to the rest of you to figure that out.
Are there any other questions on this item?
One, maybe, please. So direction to move forward with the project and give you guys a quote on paving the driveway, or are we just moving in with the project here and carrying on and
Project done.
getting a pretty nice fence and retaining wall once this is all done, so,
Let's stay with the project.
thank you.
Moving on to fire and property, department update, Chief Graham. Yes, Mayor Ferguson.
Yes, Chair Johnson, thank you. The bylaw enforcement officer, I know we have some information here. Are you taking on that role now, Chief?
It is not necessarily something I have time for in my role. That's why we had a bylaw officer, but I'll endeavor to do what I can.
Okay, thank you. And I would just like as well, sorry, Chair Johnson, just take this moment to say our appreciation for Bob Nault that took the role over the summer. I think he did a really good job, and unfortunately, he's not looking at a longer term position, so he's no longer, I was going to say no longer with us, but he's no longer employed by the town. So I'd just like to say that Bob did a really good job, and we just want to thank him for that.
Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair Johnson. This is for Jason. Jason, will we be addressing the issue of having no bylaw enforcement officer at one of the meetings or at the strategic plan?
Yeah, so as part of Bob leaving, Graham and I have met and had that discussion. So we are looking at some recommendations and some options that we'll bring forward to council in the future.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions?
Yes, it's not a question, Chair Johnson. I just we received a memo today, and I'd just like to address it. This fits in this category here, so if I can address this. The Pat Bergeron Northern Fire Chief Leadership Award, the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, along with Emergency North Training, invited people to submit nominations for the Pat Bergeron Northern Fire Chief Leadership Award. The nominees must be a fire chief officer from a Northern Ontario municipality whose fire department falls within the geographical boundaries of the Ontario Fire Chiefs Association, PAC zones 7, 8, 9, and 10. The nominee should exemplify one or more of the following criteria: demonstrates exceptional leadership, commits to integrity, honesty, hard work in this event in results, exhibits that wearing the uniform is an honor and a genuine responsibility, has made a difference in the Ontario Fire Services, introduces new programs, services, and training regimens to increase the public and firefighter safety, promotes firefighters, their successes, safety, the contribution to the betterment of the community, experienced in the organizing local fire prevention and the fire and life-saving campaigns, and advocates on issues specific to fire services delivery in Northern Ontario. And I'd just like to say that 2024 recipient is Graham Warburton, Fire Chief for the town of Atikokan, and this award was presented to Chief Warburton at the 2024 FireCon held in Thunder Bay this past week. So congratulations, Graham.
Yes, Councillor Stimson.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Yeah, I just want to say something. You guys have been really busy, and one night there was a fire on our street, and I walked down there, and I was really impressed, I'll tell you the truth, how those guys, they knocked down that fire, and they kept alternating from that fire to hose off the house over here, and you know, that could have been a 2 or 3 house fire if they didn't know what they're doing. So they did a heck of a job.
Yes, we are very fortunate to have such
we are
good department people and leadership.
Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Got it right this time. Graham, when you're talking about your emergency measures and we have to attend a training session, are you taking into consideration all the events that have been happening within the province, the flooding, the fires, the things for what we're going to be training for?
Yes, Councillor Shine. Every year I have to update our HIRA, it's called, which is the most impacting potential of hazards within the community. It includes any kind of changes in the infrastructure, demographics of size, age of the population. All those are taken into consideration, and the exercise that you are required to do would be based on that information. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And will we be working with any other agencies within the municipality during this, or will it just be council?
It will be council and the other members of the emergency control group.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, Chair Johnson, too, is they're always upping the criteria and what we have to do for fires and emergency measures, and Chief Warburton has kept us in good stead on that. And as they raise the bar and what we have to do, we are meeting those levels fairly easily because we are in good shape going forward on that. So we're not we are in very good shape, and I would like to commend Chief Warburton for keeping us in good stead with the province.
Anyone else? The only thing left is to adjourn.